All right, okay, something new for today, bringing massive value in a new way, as I would say. I would tell you that what I'm doing today is telling you about the design work I just did on Stackivate version 1. So, what I'm going to do first is show you what my website looked like this morning. This was the landing page. Very basic. Pretty much all I had down was like the design, the style, like the colors and some font stuff that I wasn't even like really 100% on. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like right about now. All right, so this is what it looks like now. Looks way better. Scrolling through, all this stuff was really basic before. Made everything look way better, way more on brand. The design is looking really good. So this was the same day that I did this. I'm not a designer. I didn't hire one. I never even opened Figma, and it cost me basically nothing. If you built something, an app, a side project, a business, and your website kind of looks like you built it, stay with me because I'm going to walk you through exactly how I fixed mine today, and you can do the same thing. So I'm going to run you through a quick outline of what I do or what I did today. So I opened up the project file, stepping up to the stage, turning the main focus to the landing home page. No more basic builder blocks or standard layout lines. I leveled up the interface with premium designs. I turned raw utility into something sleek and clean, crafting the most professional look the market's ever seen. I went and tested the best engines. I've let Claude cook before, but today I chased the best, putting Google AI Studio, V0, and Claude Design to the test, comparing every style and prompt to see who takes the crown, engineering pristine interfaces that shut the doubters down. Pushed past the limits of what a single tool could do, and I upgraded the visual shell for the launch of version 1, not yet at 2. So there is a trust factor. A luxury product needs a flawless outer face, so I structured the elements to own the digital space, fixed up the padding, the contrast, and the flow, so the second a user lands, they will instantly know that this is a financial fortress built with sovereign pride, keeping them completely locked into the features inside. So the abundance reality is I don't operate in scarcity or copy what is old, shipping digital assets worth more than literal gold. While the copycats are stagnant, moving through the race, I utilize the finest tech to dominate the space. Wealth is flowing through the prompts and the leverage is supreme as I step fully onto the role of king of this machine. So if you didn't know, I'm Nate and I'm doing the challenge, my business challenge to 1 million. And I don't like to really look at the money, focus on the money like that, but it's the best metric I could find. Essentially, my metric is providing as much value as possible. That's what I'm focused on, but I know the money will flow from that. So this first business that I'm building for the challenge is Stackivate. And this is an app for learning to invest, and not just like every other app out there, but it's different because it teaches you how to find your own unique investment style that's going to work the best for you based on your mind, your strengths, and your weaknesses. So before, I mean, it worked, the version 1, the features, but it looked basic. And I think the main thing about this is, if it looks really basic, then people are going to be less likely to trust it. I want it to look professional, which is, I think, I'm much closer to that. And all this stuff I'm doing will get better over time. But anyone building something, especially for a business who needs a professional looking site without a design or a budget, this video is definitely for you because I'm going to show you how I use both these two tools. Before, when I did design, I just looked at one tool and I did some really basic stuff. I noticed the new Claude 4.8 update applied to Claude Design, and I'll show you both version 1, which was, I think, the first best one that I did, and the Claude Design versions. So I'm going to show you the tools, the decisions I made, how I got it live, and the handful of design basics that did most of the heavy lifting. I want to start out by just talking about some design basics, like the main things that I was tuned into that actually matter. The big idea is like what separates an amateur site from a professional one is usually not fancy features. It's a few of this fundamental stuff. So the main thing being spacing and white space. Give things room to breathe. Consistent spacing alone does a ton. Got hierarchy and type. One or two fonts is really like the most you want to have. Clear size jumps, readable body text, make it obvious to what matters the most. Color with restraint, mostly neutrals, use one brand color, make that your spotlight. Here you can see it is the green, the money green, or pretty close to money green. And consistency, buttons look like buttons, everything else lines up. Everything needs to be consistent across the whole site. I just did the landing page for now, and then the other pages I can just easily go back and match that to the new text upgrades I did, stuff like that. Then once you got all that down, just nail spacing, consistency, you're most of the way to looking professional. All right, so the first tool that I used today was V0, and that's from Vercel. And basically, I already had an account with Vercel, so it gave me some free usage, and it was just enough for 1 month of free usage was just enough to get this landing page done. So essentially, this is what that page looks like, and you can see it's pretty simple. It's just like vibe coding, just like vibing. Just give it the instructions, gave it some screenshots of what the landing page currently looked like. And the main thing was I gave it, really like one instruction at a time. Trying to give it too many instructions was causing problems. So I just focused on like the biggest things first and worked my way down. And you can see like everything was done on this side panel. And over time, it just kept looking better and better. Also, I have the possibility, if I want to go back and see earlier versions before I made changes. Maybe something looked better on an earlier version. But I mean, for the most part, like this was the first design I got. And you can see this is different from what I ultimately went with. So, I mean, I feel like originally this was like a very clean, professional looking design. And you can see the main thing was I added an actual feature screenshot from the actual project itself. Basically, I just described the web page I wanted it, and it builded it. So just to like sum up what I did with this V0, I used good prompts because vague prompts gets vague results. I was very specific, changed one thing at a time, so I was in control. The hero, adding a real product screenshot and balancing the layout, that was like the main thing that I wanted to do. That was the main thing I noticed that just stuck out from the old design to the new one. And some of these buttons that were there before seemed like they were competing too much. And it was like multiple call to action. So I made it so it was just one clear call to action. And there was a light animations pass at the end. I made it sure it was very subtle. It's just basically fade-ins, and it took almost no effort to do this simple animation. I'd like to try more detailed animation in the future, but I feel like this was a good start for learning. All right, so now I'm going to show you what I did with Claude Design. So this was the ultimate, like what I got for a final product. And basically when it started, it did not look this way. It's very similar to V0 where you give it these prompts. I gave it the original screenshot and the first prompts that I just wanted to make it better, kind of like the exact same prompt that I gave to V0. And what it did was it did something V0 didn't. It asked me a bunch of questions. And I tried to answer them immediately, but before I could, Claude actually went and answered it themselves, which I was fine with. I think for the most part, it picked like the best answers. But something that I liked better than putting the original screenshot of the feature was it created, a unique design that's similar to on the dashboard that shows like, how this works is like basically it puts you on a path to being a master investor, to understanding your own style. and it's different. There's an onboarding where it gives you an archetype, so it gives you training based on like, you know, how your mind works in regards to investing, all educational. So basically, I thought that was the best part of this design from the start. The text and everything was very different. It did not look as professional to me. It looked similar to the way it originally looked, and I thought the way it looked from V0 was a lot better. So as you can see, I did more like a hybrid. I got this original design from Claude, but then I took the things I liked about the V0 design, and then I gave Claude screenshots of the V0 design, and I told it to match the certain things I liked to make kind of a hybrid style of the two. And then I added that original screenshot, so it's like more in the middle, showing like what the time machine chart looks like. Time machine is one of the major features. It's all free on the free tier. So then you can see like the cards. I think the cards looked a little bit better with Claude, but I think the animation, it was like maybe 1% different. The animation maybe looked a little bit better with V0. But looking at that, you can get a pretty good idea of like how this ended up turning out. So I think the main insight that I got from this is it wasn't either tool that was like, you know, the magic behind this. It was my judgment. The tools had their own judgment, the tools had their own decisions, but at the end of the day, I think if I hadn't have used my judgment, if I would have just gone with what it said, it would have not looked as good. And I mean, it was pretty good, but I think what I did with using both these tools together and making a hybrid version was the best thing I could have done. Both of them came out good. I picked the cleaner direction as the base, then borrowed the best pieces from the other version. And I would have to say it doesn't make sense to really worry about which tool is better. Try a few different tools, and there's new coming out. I mean, there's new updates all the time. I've tried Google Stitch, and I've tried a little bit of Figma. That one was kind of like difficult for me. And again, I'm not a designer. I have very little understanding of design. This is just going from like, you know, doing like maybe a second version of design. This looks much better than the first one I did. Combine the things you like from each different tool. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got to look at it as your judgment is going to be the final vote. And it helps to talk to LLMs and give them screenshots. But really, I think that there were things that, like, you know, that I saw that even they didn't see. All right, the next part is all about getting this live. So, you know, a good design inside a tool is not a live website. You still have to get it onto the real thing. So basically, I went with the Claude Code one, and I was able to use Claude Design to drop the design into the actual Claude code base on a separate branch. So nothing went public until I was ready. And what a separate branch is basically like, it's not the main site. I didn't change it on the main site. I made a different branch so that it only changed it on that branch, and I was able to verify that that branch looked right before I changed that over to the main site. So that helps a lot for like keeping things safe. If I make a huge mistake, it'd be not as difficult to go back. So I kept it honest, building trust, and really like, you know, the first deploy failed. There was a mistake with Vercel, and it was something that like didn't make sense at first, but it was just like because it was on the branch and I'm not used to working with those branches, but I figured it out really quickly, and essentially it was pretty easy to fix. But this is normal with vibe coding, just random things that come up like that. So basically I merged it, it went live in seconds, and you know, then I got the live site, which is basically, this is what it looks like again. And you know, you can see that considerably better than the previews from those two websites. So the Vercel one would be pretty easy if you are through Vercel. If not, it would be a similar process to Claude where you have to get the files and then bring it over to Claude Code or whatever, and you're not limited to that. You could be using GPT, you could be using Gemini, you could be using whatever. There's always a way to do it. You just need to look up what is specific with your agent, your setup. So basically, I mean, I went from very basic looking homepage to I would say somewhat professional, if not professional design in one day, one session. And I mean, I can work for a while, I can stay focused and locked in. So, my session times might be longer or shorter than other people, but I would say this took me about 3 to 4 hours. I didn't need a designer. I didn't need to use Figma. I mean, it was basically free because I already had the subscriptions for both V0 and Claude for Claude Design. So if you're building anything, especially for a business, this is going to take two problems at once. The site looking amateur and not being able to afford a designer yet. And I mean, I would say this is like, maybe 90% of the way to where I would want it to be. If I did get a designer, they could probably do some like basic things to like make it look better. But I think this is looking pretty good. And I definitely want to get more into learning better animation skills. And that's just going to be, an ongoing process. Anything I build, I'm not looking at that it's set in stone. I always want to make things better over time, but I just got to put them out there, build fast, fail fast, learn from my mistakes, and then I can make things better over time. So, this is a learnable skill. All these business skills are learnable skills. The fundamentals plus a willingness to iterate and trust what looks good, this is the whole skill. So, if this helped you, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm coming through with new information steady, and I'm doing this challenge, vibe coding to 1,000,000. I'm building Stackivate in public. All this I'm building in public. Stackivate is the first business. The next one will be coming soon, so make sure you stay in tune to the station. Drop a comment with what you're working on right now. If you have any questions about it, I can tell you where I would get started if I were you. And basically, respect in everything that you do. Give thanks every time for life and health and strength and length of days. And whatever you do, the Most High's got you through. Just take the first step and the rest will appear in due time. So no need to worry your mind about anything. When peace and love and joy is all I bring. Give thanks. Again, I'm out.